my hope today is really to introduce you to an open source project that we just recently announced, just recently released. It's the result of about 8 years worth of work. And the reason it works, the reason it can actually kind of change what was previously possible is because Cassandra under the hood really makes a big deal. The capabilities of Cassandra have enabled new kinds of streaming graph processing, and that's what Quine's about. So it's a free open source software at quine.io. And if you're ready to hit the next slide, we can start talking about it. The big question to begin with is, what is a streaming graph? Because we kind of made up this term. It is something that lives squarely in between these two worlds. Infinite data streams, so Kafka, Kinesis, Pulsar, these kind of things are delivering just an endless supply of records, probably at a very high volume. And on the other side, combine that with a really expressive graph model that gives you the ability to talk about data, to connect data in ways similar to relational tables, but more expressive than that. So all data fits in that shape. And when you do that, you get the ability to run graph queries over your stream, combining together new data that just arrived with old data from minutes ago or months ago, either way. And so the streaming graph is really the combination of these two features: stream data in and use graph queries to express complex patterns for what we're looking for over top of that. So that's the concept, and Quine is new in this space for really bringing that to bear in high volume situations. And there's the next slide. So why would you want to do something like this? Why a streaming graph? Well, some of these technical capabilities have really enabled new kinds of capabilities. And things that were hard or even impossible in data streams, like multi-join patterns, which are just too slow to actually be practical in a high volume situation, those get solved with Quine and enable new kinds of use cases, like detecting money laundering. Or if you've got data sources from lots of different sources and different types, and your job is to join them together and handle out of order data delivery, then you can enable new use cases like cybersecurity XDR platforms to actually monitor that and find those things. With real-time analysis capabilities, you can watch for authentication fraud as it's happening, and you can shut those fraudsters down before they actually get in and log into the system. So those were previously impossible, and now they become new capabilities for stream processing because of how Cassandra works together with Quine. Quine saves the node data in an event source fashion. It means the deltas, the small little updates, those updates get written into Cassandra in very small units, not the whole node information, just changes to its history. So that gets written very quickly and efficiently off to disk in Cassandra, and then cached in memory to do graph operations, pulled back in only when needed by doing efficient range scans over known keys. Combined with other Cassandra capabilities like time windowed compaction and TTLs to expire out data that we don't care about any longer, enterprise users have been able to run this in production and achieve just crazy results, like 1 million graph events per second, as just even kind of an arbitrary stopping point. So they've seen it scale way past anything that anybody's been able to do before. And so if you want to try using streaming graph together with your Cassandra deployment, it's really a matter of set up your Cassandra system, start Quine and configure it to use Cassandra, and then an API call will start Quine consuming from your Kafka and Pulsar streams. Data comes in, it gets formed into a graph using what we call an ingest query. So take each record out of Kafka, form it into a graph shape. And as that graph gets built and changing dynamically, you can issue what we call a standing query over top of it to say, monitor the graph for these complex patterns I care about. Those patterns get monitored very efficiently when they get completed because of new data coming in, combined with old data pulled out of Cassandra at just the right moment. You get real-time results that can trigger updates to the graph or can stream data out to the next system. And so plug it into Kafka or Pulsar and deliver that data to wherever it needs to go, plug it into Slack, notify some humans, notify some users about what's going on, and let them take action. So if you'd like to try this, it's really just the 3-step process of download Quine. It's free and open source software. Start up Cassandra by default, run it on your local system, and then just run the jar file, run the executable with the Cassandra storage configuration option, and you're off and running. At quine.io/recipes, you'll see examples of particular applications that are all run with just one little command line. You can plug it into your Cassandra instance for local testing, or change a few more configuration options and run it in production on a real live Cassandra cluster. So those kind of step-by-step instructions will take you from start to finish. And as we said, there's a bunch of examples of recipes that live live on the website that you can go poke at and play with and experience on your own. One caveat: if you do use those recipes along with Cassandra configuration, there's that little force configuration flag. We're missing a slide from this, but if you saw the last slide, it would point you to quine.io at the website, where you can see demos of it running live, quine.io/demo. And there's a Slack community there if you want to ask questions, get help, and just talk with others who are using Quine for similar purposes. So all of this is new capabilities previously impossible that were now enabled by Cassandra on the back end for Quine on the front end for Streaming Graph. Thanks, guys.
That was great. Are you also going to send us some blog post or something interesting?
Oh yeah, we're writing all sorts of things. So it's lots to talk about and lots to say. It's the product of 8 years worth of work. So we're happy to share it with everybody and talk about it all day long.
Yeah, we will be happy to hear even more. It's 5 minutes is 5 minutes, but you said it's a lot of work, many years. So we'll be happy to hear more, definitely. Thank you
very much. Thank you all.